Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah amma ba'd. Khair inshallah. So we're in chapter 3 of the book, and we're going to just carry on with what we're doing. And inshallah, if time permits, we'll just do a few examples from the Quran on some of the things that we've already got up to speed with at the moment. Okay, so I've looked at a few ayats that we can just see it being demonstrated. So, but first let's just go through the new chapter, and we'll just work our way. And there'll be a lot of repetition, which is the key, is that repetition is the way that we're going to learn things. So it's good to just keep repeating, but in different contexts and different jumlas. Okay, so in chapter 3, we have Nasihatu Ibrahima. Okay, can anyone know what that means?
Advice to Ibrahim or Ibrahim's advice?
Yeah, so that's the question, you know, is it to Ibrahim or is it the advice of Ibrahim, or is Ibrahim giving advice? So these are the things that we're trying to do, which is called Iraabul, which is to say you've got two words, you've got advice and you've got Ibrahim. So who's doing what, yeah? And so by working out it grammatically, you're going to find out if it's Ibrahim giving the advice or the advice is being given to Ibrahim, okay? So the way you're going to work this out is by looking at grammatically analyzing it, okay? So the first thing that I want someone to tell me is with nasiha, are we dealing with, what kind of word are we dealing with? And remember, we only have three types of words: harfs, fi'l and ism. So what's people's thinking here? Ism. And now we're going to just touch on a little bit of sarf, which is about the word morphology, because I know that's something that we're trying to get familiar with, that how do we distinguish? So we're going to start to work these things out now. So what are the clues to tell you that nasiha is actually an ism? What are the clues that makes you think it's a noun or an ism?
Because of Dhamma.
Tell me more.
Dhamma at the end.
Dhamma at the top.
Yeah, so you've got, probably you could say the ta marbuta or the ta.
Feminine.
So it's a feminine, so usually that's a pattern that's only with isms, that you have a ta marbuta at the end. So that'd be one clue.
The other problem is that it's, so far we have covered 3-letter verbs. This is a lot more than 3 letters.
Okay, that's another clue. The fact that there are more letters, possibly. Yeah, so we could just say that so far we've only covered verbs, okay, which have 3 letters in it. If we compare it to a past tense verb in its basic form, so we do fa'ala, yeah, you can see fa'ala, and things like jalasa. You can see there's a kind of a pattern in the past tense. All have fathas, all have 3 letters, okay? And so this kind of is a bit different to that, okay? So that might be an extra clue, that it doesn't look typically like a verb pattern. It's more quite a few letters, so it's probably not a harf, which is a particle. And the particles they're not hundreds, they're tens of. So you can more or less know all the particles that exist. So you can say, that doesn't look like a particle. You know, haven't come across that, so you can exclude that one. You can exclude possibly the verb, because you know the simple pattern it doesn't kind of go with. And then you've got the ism, which can be more complex, and it has a ta marbut at the end, which certainly verbs don't have that. So by that you can work out that it's an ism. What you probably won't be able to work out is there are many different types of isms, aren't there? So the ism can be either a noun.
Verb.
No. Ism.
Pronoun.
Adjectives. Adverbs. Okay. So you could probably, out of the isms, you could probably, for the pronouns, you could probably, because there are a handful, huwa, hum, huma, and you know that clearly cannot be the case, so pronouns are out. Then you've left with nouns, adjectives, and adverbs. You probably could exclude adjectives because, without even knowing the meaning.
Yeah.
Why could we exclude adjective without even knowing the meaning?
Because it has to connect to another word, isn't it?
Nope.
It It describes power of the word.
Nope,
Because it's coming first.
it's coming first. Remember, adjectives are the sifa, mawsuf and sifa. The noun comes first, then the adjective second, opposite to English. Tall boy is tall adjective first in English, but in Arabic it would be waladun tawilun. Tawilun coming second. The mawsuf is the boy. The sifa is what's describing the boy. So tall or tawil. Yeah, so tawil comes second, not first. In English it comes first. So this is the first coming. So on that deduction, you can exclude adjectives. So all you're left with is noun and adverbs. Okay. Now the way you can even do this, for any smart pencils here who've been doing their homework and and reviewing the stuff, can anyone tell me how they would just grammatically, without knowing the meaning of the words, distinguish between an adverb and a noun in the ism? Because that's what you're left with.
I think Tamaruta would be one.
Possibly, yes, you could, yeah. I give that one possibility, but not the one I'm looking for, which is really excludes it.
Doesn't adverb have two, what do you call it, zabar? No?
MashaAllah, barakallah fikum. Brownie points to you. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. The adverbs have a fatha
Yeah,
for the zabar. So there'll be a fatha, not a dhamma. All right? And so, and if we remember when we did the very first chapter,
So it has a fatha.
no, it doesn't. No. This is a dhamma.
Oh, so you're talking about.
Yeah. So look, in the very first chapter, you can see qabla, and that's an ism, but it's got a fatha right at the beginning. Right? So this is at the beginning, yeah? But this is actually an adverb because it's got a fatha. That gives it away. So the adverbial part is coming first. But remember, we can mix things around, you know? So that's why that is an adverb, and that's why this cannot be an adverb, okay? Because it's got a dhamma. Yeah?
Yeah.
So that's the way you can sort of work it out. And this is going to be really useful because
It cannot be a verb or cannot be a verb.
cannot be, because it has a dhamma, not a fatha, not a zabar. Yeah? And I just showed you qabla in the very first chapter, and that was with
So
fatha.
what it is, this is a noun.
Yes.
But within the noun it's adverb, right?
No, within the ism. Okay?
Within the- yeah.
So again, let's just repeat that again. Ism. Right? There are 4 types of isms, Ali. Nouns. Next one, Ali. Adjectives. Next one. No, for this brother. Your turn will come, inshallah.
The hard one.
Pronouns. Adverbs. Alright? So the key is that when we recognize an ism, we have to then know which one of these things it is, right? So we said that really pronouns are very distinctive. There are only a set few, huwa, hum, hiya, anta, antum. So that's going to be quite easy to knock out. The adjectives, as we quite rightly said, was that this is in the mawsuf sifa. So the adjective must come second. There must be a noun before it. The mawsuf comes first, the boy, and the sifa, tall, must come second. So that you can knock out adjectives. So all you're left with is a noun or an adverb. This is without looking at the meaning. The meaning will give it away, but I'm just trying to do, how can you work it out grammatically? Because you'll encounter words you don't know the meaning of, right? So you're going to have to work out, what am I dealing with here? Because you're not an Arab. So you're going to have to work out grammatically. So the way you can is then say, well, okay, what are the tashkil, the vowels? And as brother quite rightly said, is that with adverbs, it usually with a fatha, okay? Whereas with nouns, it could be all 3, but exclusively with adverbs, it's always with a fatha. And I showed you the example in the very first chapter where we had qabla, not qablu, but qabla. So you know, this is going to be an adverb, right? So the fact that it's got dhamma gives it away, plus as Amar Bhai said, that with the tamar buta also gives it away because it's a feminine. So all of those things together means that you must be dealing with an ism. Okay? So let's do that as well. Okay. So going back to just basics, which is always good. Back to basics is the way to get your foundation strong. So let's take bait, all right, which means house. Okay. Right. So for isms, Ali Bhai, they can have different types of vowel tashkils. Okay. So you can have a dhamma, right? Okay. You can have a fatha, baitan, and you can have kasra, baitin. And also you have a sukoon here, this thing here. These are the vowels, all of the vowels, yeah? The thing is, the thing about these ones is that it gives you the grammatical place, like we said with this particular word, nasiha. Is it an adverb or is it a noun? Well, we know with adverbs it's going to be a fatha. So that helps you to work out what you're dealing with. Yeah. So these are all the tashkils that you need to really know. The sukoon, the fatha, the dhamma, and the kasr. Okay.
Is it not possible for noun to come? When I say noun, I mean ism as a noun to come with a fatha in the beginning.
Let's not bridge that,
Okay.
because the key to Arabic is to not overthink. Keep it simple. Keep it stepwise. I can answer it, but then it will confuse everybody. So the key is that what I want everyone to do is be firm on the steps we're at and know it to close to 100%. Because there's a lot out there that you need to get to. So it's a long staircase, okay? But if you take each step at a time, and then with time you realize, you look down and you think, gosh, I've climbed all these steps. Whereas if you just suddenly jump up to the top without climbing and just think, oh my God, how am I going to do this? But you just one step at a time. So we're not going to get into that complication quite yet. And there will be questions you will ask, but we'll have to hold them until it comes to the right time where it fits into the grand scheme. Yeah? Okay? But yes, nouns, isms experience grammatical states. We know that. They can be fatha, they can be kasra, and they can be dhamma. Okay? We know that. And we already know that in some situations that a noun can be in fatha, because we talked about that last week. We said that inna, yeah, the harf that comes before the jumla will convert the ism into a nasab, which is fatha, yeah? Right? So there would be your example of where it would be a fatha, yeah? But there is no inna before this. There's nothing before it, right? So the default position, Amar, is that any noun or ism that comes before, as in the beginning, the default is always in rafa, the default position. Okay? Unless there's something before it that affects it. So if there's nothing before it affecting it, the default is always a dhamma. Okay? Alright.
So if there is nothing, you
Yeah.
say that's
Default.
dhamma.
Yes.
Okay.
In general, 90% of the cases, the default is always a dhamma. Alright? And that's what you see here. Unless there's something before it that's going to change the grammatical state, like a preposition or a certain an amil, a governing agent, yeah?
It's coming with all, that has to be, then you go with still the single dhamma.
Yeah. So if you notice when I did bait, I didn't do baitu, I did baitun, which is indefinite. So isms can either be indefinite or definite. So if I want to make the house, al-baytu, or al-bayta, al-bayti. If it wants to be a house, it's going to be baytun, baytan, baytin. Okay? So, coming back to this. So, we now know that nasiha is an ism and it's a noun. Right? Now we have to work out what the connection is, because still the question that Zaid is saying is, well, what is this? Is this Ibrahim being advised? Is it advice to Ibrahim, or is Ibrahim giving the advice? How are we going to work out this? It could be both possibilities. There are two words, right? So can anyone work out what it is Who's giving who advice and why?
Ibrahim or
Can't be Ibrahim, right?
No,
yes,
it's
Ibrahim.
Yeah, I don't know where that's come from. That's wrong. Ibrahim. Yeah, I can't rub it off here, but yeah. So what? Just it's Ibrahima. Ignore that. Ibrahima.
That was Sukun actually.
That was-
It was smooth. We understand.
Yeah. It would be a sukun. That's
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
There we go. So
isn't it because of tu Nasi or tu Ibrahim? It's like you said in the first lesson. It's if we have Dhamma.
So what we need here is buzzwords. Buzzwords are words we use for this. So you just say the word explains 100 words by just saying that one word, because we know what we're all talking about. What are we here? So I want the buzzword.
Foreign name. And it's
No.
mudaf ilayh.
Thank you. So it's a mudaf ilay. And what is a mudaf ilay? It's a possessive phrase. Zayd's book. The book of Zayd, yeah? So if we did Zayd's book, right? So Kitabu Zaydin, right? This is a mudaf ilay, right? Why? What's the clue here? Why is this Zayd's book or not a book for Zayd or Zayd's something else other than that?
Because of Jar.
What are the rules? Jar where? What's the rules for?
Mudaf ilayh, or-
Yes. So the mudaf ilay, which is the possessor,
Yeah.
who possesses it, is in the state of jar. So that's why you see the kasra. Alright? And what about this, the mudaf?
There is no Dhamma. There is
No, it is Dhamma. Isn't it Kitabu?
Yes? Sorry, my
nothing.
sorry. Well, it could even be that. Alright, I'm going to put it like that, and it still doesn't alter it. I'm going to say it's that. Oh, sorry, let me just... What you can do about that then? I'm saying to you, it doesn't matter. I could put a fatha, I could put a dhamma, it doesn't alter.
Will
What?
that change the meaning? Kitaba or Kitabu?
Not in isolation, no.
But in the translation of these two words,
Mm.
will that change?
No.
Okay.
Why? Because you haven't given me the buzzword. What's the difference? Why, if I did this or I did that, it doesn't change the meaning of those two words?
Mudaf is always either Dhamma or is what we call it.
Fatah?
Fatha.
All right, I will do this then. Still doesn't change the meaning.
I think it's always singular, irrespective of whether it's Dhamma.
What's singular?
This, because instead of
Singular means one thing. Plural means many
No,
things.
instead of kitabun, it should be kitabu. Because
Correct. Ali's right. It's the fact that there is a single vowel. Because remember, the default position is baytun al-kitabu. Baytan al-kitaba. Yeah? So the only way you can have a single vowel, as Ali pointed out, is if you have al. You can't have two. You can't have one without the al. And the only time that you get it is when there's a mudaf ilay relationship going on. This is what we said last time, that the key is that you see an ism, it's got a single vowel and no al before it, you've got to be thinking mudaf ilay.
So that means writing it in any one way, be, bu or ba will be the same.
It all depends on what comes before it, whether it's in the, if it's a verb that comes before it, or an inna. So that will alter the grammatical state of this ism.
No, but in this example,
Yes.
we can say kitabi, kitaba, kitabu, zaydin.
Yes.
All mean the
Same thing.
same? Right.
Book of Zayd, or it would mean the same thing, because the relationship is dependent on two things. One is that the first ism, the mudaf, has a single vowel. And isms can't have a single vowel unless it's in the mudaf ilay relationship. One. And second is that the mudaf ilay is in the state of jar.
But would there be any rule in relation to what do we select? Kitaba, be, or both?
Yes, that's something else. We can talk about that later. But point is that Zubayr said, well, it's because it's got a dhamma on it.
Yeah.
And I've changed it to then a fatha and said, what about that? That it's still the same. So just to try and get you triggering, what is it? So that the issue is that it has a single vowel, as Ali Bhai said. It's a single vowel in the first ism, and it's followed by a second, which is in the state of jar. And that is normally reflected with a kasra. Okay? So that's a mudaf. So this is why nasihatu Ibrahim must be a mudaf ilay relationship. So like Zayd's book, it will be Ibrahim's advice. Right? So now you know it's actually Ibrahim giving the advice. Ibrahim's advice.
Because Ibrahim is the following word, so it's still listed.
Yeah. So that's the next thing that we talked about. And we've seen plenty of examples of this with Azar and Ibrahim. Is that with this one, it's change restricted. Yeah? So it goes Dhamma Fatah Fatah. Whereas Zayd goes Dhamma Fatah Kasra. Yeah? So the state of jar and the state of nasab in the foreign word is always expressed with a fatha. And the state of rafa can be and remember we did Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammadin kama sallaita ala Ibrahima. Yeah? So there you saw an example of that. Okay? Heard an example, and this is another example in this ayah. Okay? So that's why, like Kitabu Zaydin, Zayd's book, Ibrahim's advice. Alright? Okay?
I don't know, as young as you all now.
Okay, so here we're going to go through it a little bit quickly because these are similar things. So we've got a kana statement, yeah, jumla. So we know that this is fi'l naqis, there's got to be ism of kana and a khabar of kana. The ism of kana is Ibrahim. You have to look at it as that the ism of kana, if this was Zayd, it would be Zaydun, right? This is Ibrahimu, one vowel. The reason being because it's a foreign name. And that was the other rule with the foreign names. One is that it's Dhamma Fatha Fatha, but also there is no double vowels in foreign names. Yeah?
The Arabic language
Sorry?
is racist.
So Kitabu Zaydin had two kasras. It didn't have Kitabu Zaydi. Alright? But Ibrahim only has one. Ibrahim. It doesn't say Ibrahiman, it's Ibrahima. So Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin, upon Muhammadin, yeah, kama sallaita ala Ibrahima. Right? There you go. You see both rules comparing it. Okay? And that's why it's not Ibrahimun, which you expect in a normal ism. But this is a change restricted ism because it's a foreign name. That's why it has a single vowel. And then the rest of it is obviously the khabar of kana. Okay?
Is there a rationale behind that? That different rules with foreign names, or is it just a rule?
This is the Arabic language. And so what's happened is that the scholars of the language have looked at all the language and then from that they've taken out the rules.
So the way I understand is the language was there before they could actually make the rules. Rules came after the language.
Yes. That's what I understand as well.
So the language was already there. The rules
There was
were
no grammar, yeah. There was no grammar until that was afterwards. And it came from the Quran that they extracted these rules and generally from the language. And that's just how the language is made up. Okay?
Why they put the foreign names in different?
You'll have to ask an Arab ask the Arab from 1400 years ago, he'll tell you the answer.
I think a couple of lessons back, Hamza is from as Shajra going all the way up to Hazrat Ismail alayhi salam. And they said that if you are Arab, you are really proud. And they know that this is Arab, and they count themselves like they are on the high rank compared to the other people. And they appreciate that.
And like with Hamza, just as an interesting point, Hamza is with a ta marbuta. So it doesn't mean that just because you've got a ta, that means it's feminine. Yeah, because Hamza is a male name. Or Khalifa. Yeah.
My
So
exceptions.
and vice versa. So, but anyway, that's just a side point. So let's carry on. So, Ya Abi, oh my father, Limada.
We'll go, sorry, for the meaning of the upper one first.
Okay, so Ibrahim would say, Yaqulu liwaladihi. So if we look at liwaladihi, how many words are in liwaladihi? Some guesses, or
2 words.
okay, why? Remember, every answer comes with a rationale.
Li
Yeah?
and wallet.
Why is second?
Walid. So you say like that, or
And
walid. Yeah. And what do other people say? Who says more than 2 or less than 2?
I'd say more than 2.
What's yours, brother?
He
Yeah?
is the third one.
Yes, correct. There are 3. Right? Very good. So here what you have, li is the preposition, the jar, sorry. Walad is the ism, and he is also an ism, but it's a pronoun, okay? Or you can call it possessive pronoun. It's a pronoun which means he or his. So it would be to his father, walid, not walid, walid. Yeah? So you actually see 3 words in one compound word. Yeah, liwaladihi. So it says so Ibrahim would say to his father. To his father. Liwaladihi. Okay?
What's the meaning of li?
See, again, this is something that we covered, is that, you know, like so actually, the actual literal meaning of li means to belong to. That's what it means. On its own, li means to belong to. So it belongs to this, li. Lakum deenukum waliya deen. To you belongs your deen, and to me belongs my deen. That's an example. Lakum deenukum waliya deen. However, and I'll let you. However, remember what we talked about, that in vocabulary, the verbs are not just that. It can be also with the preposition, gives you a meaning. Right? So the li in this context is connected to a verb. And so when you look in the dictionary, when we start to look in the dictionary, when you look at qala and yaqulu, which means say, it'll have yaqulu fi, yaqulu li, whatever, and it'll have different meanings, with or without it. So you can't say then Ibrahim would say belonging to his father. It makes no sense, because the yaqulu and the li together has a different meaning in Arabic. So you can't translate it literally from word to word like in English. You have to put yaqulu li. It basically means says to. So you'll always see that, actually. So if we actually, we will see, well, I think we did cover it maybe, if I can give you an example.
I think that was yesterday.
This one.
Yeah. Anyway, but what you'll see is that whenever the qala comes, you would actually see that it actually, let me see, here you go. Yeah, so here's a different one. So here, you see, yaqulu fi. Yeah, so it doesn't mean, so Ibrahim would say in himself. It could mean that. I mean, in English, it kind of matters. You say, but it could also, you could say Ibrahim would say to himself, or inside of him, So the fi, because it's given a different kind of connotation to the saying. He's not saying to somebody, he's saying it to himself. But fi alone means in. Fi sabilillah, in the way of Allah. So so that fi has a different meaning because of what it's connected to. So you have to look up, and the way you'll work it out is by looking up yaqulu. And it will give you all the various connotation meanings, and it with connections with prepositions or not, without and with. So you see, yaqulu fi will be a different connotation to yaqulu li. All right, you can't put yaqulu li nafsihi; it'll have a different meaning. You may translate it in English to mean the same thing, like we said in Quran. You just translate it, but it'll have a different connotation. There you go. Okay? So you will see different things, and that it's all in the vocab. Okay? So coming back to this. So okay. So that is something really important actually, because a lot of people get lost on this. They think, well, li means to belong to. So how's that working together? What they don't realize is that li is not the literal meaning. It's connected to the verb, has a separate meaning, and every verb will have this connotation depending on the preposition that comes after. It will have a. Sometimes, you can get verbs which mean, earnings, for you or against you, yeah, all depending on the preposition. It has completely different meanings, yeah, based on the preposition.
If we say yakulu walidi, would it be right? Or would
Could be. It's a question of whether it exists in the Arabic language, yeah. So grammatically, it works. It's a question of whether that's actually a vocabulary statement. In terms of the dictionary, is it what Arabs say? Is that the way they're expressing? Like sometimes we say in English. I'm trying to think of a word where when it doesn't come with a preposition, it just sounds weird. Although it could grammatically work together. So it's just what works in language. What is the language? When you have a yaqulu, do you always, can you say it without? Maybe you can. I don't know the answer to that. That's when you come into that level where you can actually stick at the different methods of expression, which is called balaga. Yeah? Grammatically, yes.
It's like walking in and walking into.
Okay, I'll give you one. So arriving. So if you want to say arrive, so he arrived home at home. You have to, in Arabic, you have to put wasala ila. You can't say fi, you have to say ila. So wasala ila, he arrived to wherever. Yeah? So you can't have wasala alone. So there's certain things where if you really want to express to be he arrived or he entered, you have to add a preposition in Arabic. But you don't translate it, because it's inappropriate to translate it. Yeah? But anyway, just to give you a sense of that what the key message is that prepositions don't necessarily need to be translated in isolation. So you don't have to translate it as belonging to. You have to translate according to what the word comes before, because it might have a special meaning. And yakulu with li is connected, which basically says to. Yeah? Alright? Because ila means to, right? So why not yakulu ila waladihi? It doesn't work. Because the language is with li, not ila, or not fi, or unless it's inside of himself, or to himself. Yeah? Okay? So, لماذا تعبد? So the other thing, we'll just do a bit of translation, and then I just want to capture you on a few things on stuff. So, Ya Abi, oh my father, لماذا, why? تعبد, why are you worshipping هذه الأصنام, these idols? All right. Here, what I'd like you to just look at is the ta'budu. And then you have tasjudu and tas'ulu. And I'll just go through translate and then we'll come back to it. And then wa ya abi, and oh my father, limadha, why? Tasjudu, you prostrate, lihadhil asnam, to these idols. Wa ya abi, although, limadha, my father, limadha, why do you ask tas'alu hadhi al-asnam? Alright?
The middle one, ta'budu hadhi al-asnam.
Yeah.
And then tasjudu lihad. So
yes. Again, same example.
okay.
That this is not... So if you were to do it literally, you would say, why are you worshipping belonging to these idols? Because that's what le means, belongs to. It doesn't make sense. Right? You can't. Because the actual meaning is connected with the tasjudu. It's tasjudu li. That is actually the vocab. That is the word, tasjudu li. Which means that why are you prostrating towards these idols? Right? But towards isn't li on its own. That's going to be another word. You know? But in the context of tasjudu li, that's what it means.
So is there a difference between ta'budu, tas'ujudu, and tas'alu? Why they don't have li?
Because that's the vocab. Ta'budu doesn't require a li in the Arabic language. And there's no science behind it. It's just what is how it is. What?
So
Yeah.
wherever there is tasjudu, it will be li.
Possibly, it could be without, but it'll have a different connotation, method of expressing. But in this example, what the key thing is that because of the li, it doesn't mean belong to, which is what it's tashdud means, prostrating to, and you kind of know that from the meaning, but you have to work out why, because there will be some meanings where you can't just understand it, just on the meaning itself. So you need to know that tashdud li is a word in itself that has a expressive. Yeah, and maybe tashdud fi or maybe tashdud without has also its meaning. And that's when you go to the classical Arabic dictionaries, which are in Arabic, right? You'll get to then appreciate the richness of the language, all right? As to why Allah chose li, not fi, or without any preposition, yeah? That's the method of expressing. So there you see the prime example, again, coming here. The other thing that I'd like you to look at is that you've got ta'budu, tasjudu, tas'alu. All right. Now, something that we did cover in earlier lessons is about verbs. Yeah. So we said, remember that we gave the past tense fa'ala. Sorry about my fa'ala. Yeah. Okay.
These are all present tense.
So these are all present tense. Yeah. So there's actually, so this is where we have to talk about morphology, where you kind of have to know the patterns. So fa'ala goes to yaf'alu. So it has yaf, which then yaf, taf, af and naf. Yeah? So you've got the yafs meaning he and they, the tafs are you, and af, I, and naf, we. Alright? So that's one way that you can recognize that you might be dealing with a verb. Might be. The second clue for you is the dhamma at the end. One is that it's a single dhamma, and that's the other clue is that all verbs do not have tanween. They don't have double vowels. So anything that has double vowels, you're most likely dealing with an ism, because they're the only things that express it. So the fact that there isn't, except the change restricted, remember, Ibrahimu. Yeah, so I say in most cases, yeah? All right, 90%. So that will give you the clue that, hang on, is this a change restriction? And there, really, to be honest with you, and I think somebody else mentioned it, maybe you, brother, is that you kind of have to know the meanings of the words. That's going to give you that extra. Because abad, you just recognize it as worship, and then this is about worship, and it's got the ta and it's got the dhamma, so it must be a verb that I'm dealing with. And also it's the same pattern of yaf'alu, yasjudu, yaksiru. Yeah, so you just recognize it by the pattern that it's following. Yeah, that the ta, ya, or or na, and the dhamma at the end is a typical pattern. All right.
No, sorry, one question.
Yes.
We have budu,
Yes.
yudu, and
Yes.
then tas'alu.
Yes.
So-
Very good. So let's go through each one of those, and also yakulu. So here it is in the context. So the ta'budu. Let's go for this one, the ta. There are two instances where it can be a ta. Is in you and she. Alright? So taf'alu, you are doing, and taf'alu, she is doing. They're both exactly the same word. Right? So how do you differentiate? Well, you look at the context of the jumla. And because it's ya abi, oh my father, you. That's how it's the context. Why is this yakulu? Because you can see that it's Ibrahim. So kana, so this is the fi'l naqis. Ibrahim was the ism, so that is the subject. So Ibrahim would. So yakulu, he says. So that's about Ibrahim. All right. So that gives you the context, the fact that Ibrahim is mentioned. So that gives it away, the clue. All right. So and that's important because you need to know: is it the asnams that are worshipping? Or the people are worshipping. Which one is it? Yeah? Because asnam would be with a ta. Because it's considered feminine. So how do you know what's the context? Yeah, abi. So that gives it away. So you do need to know the context of the jumla to work out. And that's like in English. You can say he and she and them, but if you don't put it in the context of who you're talking about, they are magnificent. If I don't talk about who they are, you don't know who you're talking about. Are you talking about they as in people at your work or people in the country or your family? Who are they? You have to put the So I can say, I visited my family and they were magnificent. Yeah? Then that gives the context of who they are. Same thing here. Ya abi, context. Oh, my father. Oh, it's about father. Limaza. Ah, why do you? Must be you. Can't be why she. Worshipping doesn't make sense. There is no she is in there.
But
All right?
in terms of vowels,
Yeah.
in tas'alu we have a fatha.
Yes.
Judu we have a dhamma.
Yes. Right. This is going into the science of surf. Okay. So, and we're actually going to cover this in a few months down the line, because what you're dealing with is actually what they call weak verbs. All right. So the idea is that, like kana is a weak verb. Yeah. I don't know what we call it in Urdu, weak verb. I don't think there is an equivalent of weak verb, but it's like so fa'ala, right, is a standard verb. Right. The weak verbs are ones that got alifs, ya or wa inside the verb. That's one way of making it weak. Okay, so that's why this is that, because the middle letter has one of those. Yeah, it has one of those. It doesn't have. It has either an alif, wa, or ya. Just that, and that's why it does something to it, which we will work out how that works. Yeah, so you'll be able to recognize that. But the key thing again is still the ta and the dhamma.
What do you exactly mean by weak verb?
Weak verb basically means, for example, that the middle letter, okay, or any of the letters have a wa, a ya, or an alif. Right? So if we take qala, right? Qala is not, if you want to look up qala in the dictionary, which is he said, yeah, it's 3 letters actually, but here, so the 3 letters are qaf, wa, no, and lam, qawala. These are the 3 letters. And you're going to work out the science, so don't try and work it out yet. But just understand that these are actually the 3 letters of qala. In the past tense, the word disappears and is replaced by an alif. So you get qala. Right? In the present tense, it appears back again with yaqulu. So the word reappears. Right? But if you want to look at, and you'll understand how that works. And so when you see yaqulu and you don't know what it means, yeah, you'd be able to know that it must be the wa is the middle letter. So if I'm going to a dictionary, I have to look up 3 letters. It'll be the qaf, followed by the wa, and followed by the lam, and then you'll find out what the meaning is. And it's the same for all of these weak verbs. Yeah, there's a method, and it's just a question of learning those methods. It's the science of sarf. So when we said there's 2 sciences, the science of connecting words together, i'rab, and then there's the science of the word itself, how it's made up of. And this is what we're talking about, is verbs, for example. Bulk of it is verbs, how these words made up, these verbs. And so you have this thing about weak verbs. Weak meaning that they have a wa, an alif, or a ya in one of those 3. So qawala, which is the root for saying, has a weak letter, which is the wa. And that's why it does all these funny things to it. So that you don't see it in the past, you just see qala, and it's replaced with an alif. Yeah? And then, then it reappears in yaqulu. Yeah? Okay? No need to work it out, because there's a science, and you apply the science, but you can appreciate the reasoning is that why is this not looking like this? Because it must have a middle letter, weak letter. That's all. And that's all you have to appreciate. And you better work out what that is in time, inshallah. Okay, so let's move up. And I'm going to do a little, and then I just want to do some Quranic ayats, and then we'll finish there, inshallah, because we covered quite a bit already. Let's...
Do you mind if we just go on for the first 3 sentences that we just did?
Yeah.
The meaning itself. So...
Yeah. So... Here?
Yeah, we understand that.
Yeah.
The third one?
So this is the first sentence, this is the second one.
The third one now.
Third one here. So ya abi, and my father, لماذا, why, تسجد لهذه الأصنام, why do you worship these idols? ويا أبي, and my father, لماذا, why, تسأل, you ask these idols, هذه الأصنام. Okay, and then it's going to be and then there's just one thing I wanted to.
That's the next sentence.
Yeah,
So move on.
yeah. So then it's So inna. So indeed, هذه الأصنام. Indeed, these idols. لا تتكلموا ولا تسمعوا. They do not speak, nor do they hear. Okay. So in here, what you have is an inna coming. So that must mean that it's like, this is the harf, inna. So you're going to have an ism of inna. And the ism of inna is always in a state of nasab. So that's why this thing is in fatha. So you can say that this is the ism of inna. And the rest must be the khabar of inna. The khabar of inna has two verbal sentences in here. You know, do not speak, they do not speak, and they do not hear. These are all full sentences. But we know a full sentence can occupy the space of khabar. هذه الأصنام is, there's a phrase relationship with these idols. Okay. This is another phrase that we've kind of seen many examples. The key for knowing that this is a phrase relation is the fact that the hada or hadihi is followed by an ism, which is in the state in a definite article. So this is the rule. Okay. So if we wanted to say, so this means these idols. Yeah. If we want to say these are the idols or these are idols, how would we say that? That means these idols.
These idols. Sorry.
All right. Look, okay. I'll just do it this way. We'll cover this. This is an important thing. So let's say this is a sentence for you. هذا So هذا الكتاب, this book. All right. How am I going to say this book? How am I going to say this is a book? No. No.
You have to break the relationship.
Yes, Ali.
There will be no
Ali, yeah, carry on with that. Yes, you have to break the relation. Fantastic. Because هذا الكتاب, this book is what kind of murakkab? This book, what kind of murakkab it is? Remember, there's two types of murakkab, mufid and ghayru mufid. So which one is it, Ali? This is over to you because you're on the game, on the ball here. And you're I'm going to let you complete it. Is it a murakkab mufid, complete, or ghayru mufid? هذا الكتاب, this book. Look at the translation, this book. Is it complete or incomplete? Incomplete. Because what about this book? Right? Then I'm going to change it now. If I say this is a book, is that murakkab mufid or ghayru mufid? Complete or incomplete? This is a book. Complete. Right? Interesting, okay? So هذا الكتاب is a phrase. So if we want to make it into a jumla, can anyone work it out from just the principles of what we've learned? It's a bit difficult, but can anyone convert that into a sentence where it means this is a book? Correct. Double brownie points for Zubair Bhai. So you do. Sorry, I'm at my hands. There's all. Not very good at my hands then. So. So هذا. Sorry, kitab. Sorry, that's meant to be an alif there. Here, look, brothers, ikhwan. So there's the difference. هذا كتاب, as Zubair Bhai said. Then this becomes, this is a book. Here is then your mubtada and your khabar. right? In this situation, this is a full phrase, okay? And we can call it musharun and musharun, so isharun and musharun ilay. Okay, isharun means the demonstrative pronoun, right? So hadha is an ism. It's a demonstrative pronoun, ism.
Kitabun is khabar or kitabun is
Book.
nasab?
Doesn't matter.
Right.
Doesn't matter for this. It doesn't matter. It could be hadha al-kitabi, kitabu, kitaba. It doesn't matter in the rule. In this it does. In the jumla it does. Because remember we said the default position in mubtada and khabar is always in a state of rafa. Yeah, so that's rafa. Yeah, that's always the default. Yeah, so mubtada and khabar is always the same. That's why you have. So this will be in rafa and this will be in rafa. And here, hadha al-kitabu, it doesn't necessarily have to be. It could be hadha al-kitaba, hadha al-kitabi, because it's a phrase. Yeah, the ruling here is that you have the ishara. Ishara. I think I probably got it wrong, but anyway. It's yeah, ha. So
The round one, yeah.
so ishara, and then you have the musharan ilay, okay, as the one that's being demonstrated to. All right. Now, so the thing that makes it is the al. That's what makes it. All right. That connection. All right. So if we now go back to where we saw it.
Same goes for that ayah, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ.
Of course, that book. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ.
And if you change it, it will say ذَلِكَ كِتَابٌ.
Yes, if you want to change it, yeah. But the ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ, that book. So that particular is a phrase. It's not a sentence. Yeah. But if you say ذَلِكَ كِتَابٌ, this is a book. Right? But it says this or that book. ذَلِكَ means that. So that book. But if you want to say that is a book, then it will be ذَلِكَ كِتَابٌ. But in Surah Baqarah it says ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ. Yes. That. Yeah. So here, as we did, so we had the inna, and we had the ism of inna and the khabar of inna. And so in here, you can say that it's about this, or we say these idols. The reason we say these, although this on its own means this, is because asnam is a non-human plural. So non-human plurals are treated as singular feminine. So that's why you have hadihi, not hadha. Right? Hadha is masculine, hadihi is feminine. Alright? Right? So non-human plurals, like cows, animals, are treated as singular feminine. And that's why it's not ha'ulai, which is the plural. But anyway, but the point is it's singular feminine. That's why you see that. For asnam, which is a plural, it means idols, not idol. So it's treated as singular feminine. And that's why you see la tatakallamu wa la tasma'u. So here, if we take the tasma'u, remember we said there are two options. Either you hear or she hears. Alright? In the context, it is she, but meaning they. Because it's singular feminine for they. So you wouldn't say they, she hears, you say they hear. Alright? So you don't take its literal meaning, which would be she heard. It's they. Because they for non-human plurals. So the context gives it away as to tasmu, and same as tatakallamu. The reason that there's two ta is because we haven't covered this yet, but there are different verb variations. I don't want to go into that. The key thing is that you see ta and the dhamma. Like you saw a ta and a dhamma, a ta and a dhamma, a ta and a dhamma. Yeah, that's the pattern that you're seeing. That tells you that it's a verb and that it can either be she or you. In this context, it's they because al-asnam is a non-human plural. Alright?
So it should be when we say tatakallamu, there are two ta'as in it.
Yeah.
It could be takallamu, could be right as well.
Yes.
It is a takallum, but the context, because it's context.
Yes.
But takallum itself is a noun, I think. The takallum is a verb, And takallum itself is a noun. I mean, I'm talking about Urdu context. In Urdu, takallum is like
To say something.
like kalam, like kalam.
Yes, yes. We won't go into too much of that, but the principle that you have to know is that this is a verb.
Yeah.
It's got two thirds, and it's got two thirds because it adds a context. There's an increased that gives it an extra context. So it could be takallamu or it could be kallamu. There's lots of different ways of doing it, but each has its different kind of flavor to it. Okay, and we'll go into that more when we study that. But the principle I want you to just know that is the ta and the dhamma. And now you've learnt that if it's a ta, it could be a you, she, and it could also possibly be a they if we're dealing with a non-human plural. All right, and that's why it's hadhihi as opposed to hadha. Right, right, and then wa inna again, and indeed. So inna. هذه الأصنام, these idols, لا تضر ولا تنفع. They do not harm and they do not benefit. Here, ضر, you can see it's also missing some letters. All right, it's not the three, you know. So like again, this is about sarf, okay? Because when we say it's fa'ala, yaf'alu, taf'alu, so there are three letters plus the ta. Here it's kind of missing, but actually there's two ra because it's got a shadda. So if you want to look in the dictionary, you think, how am I going to find darru? Is da, ra, and ra. But you'll learn the rules for that. Just to point it out as another example. Okay? Okay. And here in tanfa'u, you can see the nun, fa, and ayn are all there. So like it'll be same as taf'alu. So it's exactly on the standard pattern, easy peasy. So nafa'a would be its basic root. Yeah? So that one is an easy one. Okay? So, and then just moving on to the last bit.
The shutdown is now become 9:22.
Want to finish this last? So, again, وَلِأَيِّ شَيْءٍ, and for what thing or for what reason تَدَأُ, you put laha, for them, ta'am, food, وَشَرَاب, and drink. Alright? And tada'u, again, is missing the third letter. It's actually wada'a. So the wa. Like in qala, the wa was in the middle. For this one, the wa was in the beginning. But you'll learn the rule. So if you wanted to look up tada'u, you know it's probably a verb because it's got ta and dhamma. But where's the first letter? Is it the da that you look up in the dictionary? No, it's the wa first. So this is where people get stuck again. Is that they think, oh, I'm looking at da and ain and I can't find this word. You know, or it gives you a completely different meaning because the wa is missing in here. But it's in the perfect, it'll be wada'a. And then when it goes into the present tense, the word disappears. And we'll learn those rules. Alright? So there you can see it's missing. Okay? So this is the sarf science of weak. Because it has a weak letter, wa, which then sometimes disappears and reappears. As in qala, it disappears, yaqulu, it comes back. And same for this, because the wa is in the beginning. So it appears in the perfect, wada'a, and disappears in the, in the perfect, yeah, and in the imperfect present tense, it disappears. As in this one, okay? And then the thing that I want you to just look at is for what reason did you put them, for them, the food and drink? Right, again, tada'u la would have a connotation meaning. So it doesn't mean belongs to them. So if for what reason did you put belonging to them food? Because that makes sense in English. You know, why did you put the food that belongs to them? Yeah, that's not what it means. Because tada'u la means to put for them, not belongs to them. Because it's the meaning of the verb with it. Okay. This bit I want you is and wa inna hadhil asnam, indeed these idols, ya abi, la taqulu wa la tashur, do not speak and do not eat and do not drink. Right? Now the thing here is, I didn't say were and, I said although. So each time I've said to you, remember I said every time were. Yeah, it could be the beginning of the sentence, it could be connecting to sentences like and. In this context, it is although. And the reason being is that your rule that you're going to learn is that whenever a question mark is followed by a statement, doesn't have to be an exclamation mark, a statement, the word in between means although.
Is there a question mark in Arabic or they just put it for?
They put it here, but you can tell by the wali ayi shayin, so the context gives you the question. For what? The ayi, for which or what? That's your question. This is ayi is it's a interrogative pronoun, meaning which, what. Yeah. So you know already that's a question mark by the meaning. So they just put it in to help you out. Yeah. But you can do it without it. So with that wali ayi, you know that's a question. So when the word comes after that and it's not followed by a question, then it becomes although. If it was another question mark, then it would be and. So that's just a subtlety, and you'll see that in the Quran, where you see word, and sometimes Allah translates it as although, it's translated as although, and why not and? Well, now you learn a rule here, and we'll go into the wa and all the different, but just to appreciate that, okay? And I thought I'd just give you a couple of Quranic ayats, and then we're done of what we've done before. So we'll leave this, and I'll give you some examples of Quranic ayats, just 2 or 3, that's it, max, and that's it, and they're very short. So you can just see that it's not just in Qisas or Anbiya, it's actually in the Quran as well. So, yeah. So, can you see that, or can we expand it, or just if you can expand? Is that max? Khair. Okay, so here, if we look at here, so كان الناس أمة واحدة فبعث الله نبيين مبشرين. Okay, so just leave it up to there. So kana, so this is got to be a kana statement. An-nasu it says an-nasu must be ism of kana. Ummatan, and all the way across is going to be the khabar of ana. Because then you have the wa, which is a separator, remember? So that's where it ends. Okay? When we said the word can mean and, or it can be a separate sentence. Okay? So kana, fil naqis, ism of kana. Now this one has a single dhamma because it's an-nas. It's with definite article, al. Yeah? So that's why it's an-nasu. Okay? So the people were kana ummatan wahidatan. Here, in the khabar, ummatan wahidatan, this is going to be mawsuf and sifa. The mawsuf is the ummah, and wahidatan is the sifa, single nation. Single person, describing the nation as single. Okay? Then you have fa, which is a conjunction like wa, or fa. So, ba'atha. Here the ba'atha is the standard verb, like fa'ala, jalasa. It's not a weak verb. So, ba'atha. So here we have to take out, remember, every fi'l has to have a fa'il. So is it, and the fa'il always comes after. If it's not after, you have to take it out of the ba'atha. Here you have the fi'l, which is Allah. It's in dhamma, yeah? So that's the fa'il. So you have the fi'l and the fa'il, which is Allah. So the people were a single nation. So Allah, the fa'il, sent fi'l, and this is an-nabiyina mubashirina. An-nabiyina mubashirina. So that will be your maf'ul bihi, your object, which is in fatha. Yeah? Maf'ul bihi. That's just one example.
Sorry, can I ask one question? 2 questions actually.
Yeah.
First is that kana an-nasu or kana an-nasu?
Kana an-nas.
Can we read it as kana an-nasu, or will that?
You can, kana an-nasu. Yes, you can.
Right. Other question was about, we have Allahu here.
Yeah.
Some places there's Allah, so what
So
would
Allah would be the object. La ilaha illallah. Actually, I'm not going to go into Allah so much because that's a sarf issue. Okay, but the key thing is that this is the fa'il. It's in.
But is ism Allahu, is that considered Arabic or not Arabic?
Look, Allah can mean fatah, inna Allah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's with a fatah. It's Allahu. So it's got to be in rafa.
Right.
Okay. Inna lillahi, lillahi is in state of jar, yeah, because of li. So it expresses, it's not it's a noun. So Allahu, Allah, Allahi all works. It's only singular because Allah is definite. Okay, all right, and it's unique actually, because that's one of the things. It's not Allahu. Allah is a unique word. It doesn't need a definite article in it, you know, and that's why it's always we're saying where Zayd can only have Zaydun, Zaydan. You can't say Allahin. It's a unique word that's unique to Allah, and that's something into Balagha. But the point is, it can have 3 grammatical states. Yeah. So Allahu, Allah, Allah, and we say that Inna Allaha, Lillahi, and obviously in this one, Ba'ath Allahu. So Allah must be the fa'il. Alright?
And another thing on
Yeah.
this one, when we're reading the Quran, so which means we can have a little stay there on Mubashirin because we ending something and then we starting another one.
That's tajweed, and I'm not an expert in that, so I don't know with that. All I can say is grammatically, this is where the sentence ends.
Ends and then another one starts.
Yeah.
Isn't it continuation of aim, Mubashirin and Munzirin? The person who gives glad tidings.
Yes.
and the-
I mean, yeah.
Correct.
You break
The ones who give glad tidings and the warners, yes.
Like say, for example, if
And
you're
then
reading
Ramzara is
Iqra,
an indication.
Yeah, I'd actually agree. Sorry, with Zubair, but I think I didn't read that, but that would actually carry on.
you break your flag, where from you can come back? Come back from where ball is here.
So, yes, sorry, that actually carries on to here. Because that's like Nabina, so these are prophets who give Mubashirin, who give glad tidings, and wa munzirin, and warners. Then here the wa anzala is another new verbal sentence. So it actually connects right up to that point. Okay? So just one couple quick more examples and then we're done.
Now,
Here is a very simple one. Here, so inna Allaha. So inna is the harf. Then you have Allaha, right, which is the ism of ana, and then the kana is the khabar of kana aliman haqiman. Within the khabar you have a full sentence. You're allowed to have it in the khabar. So this becomes a fi'l naqis, and here even the kana has to have a fa'il. Aliman is not a fa'il, it's in nasab. So you have to take out the huwa. So inna Allah, so indeed Allah, He, huwa, is aliman, the all-knowing, and the hakiman, which is both a khabar of kana. So you can see that. But you have to take a huwa because aliman cannot be the fa'il of kana. Yeah, and that makes it clear who the one we're talking about. Okay? And the very last one is here. We've done one. Oh, I've lost it there. But anyway, I think these were the 2 examples we can actually.
One here or something. Inna Allaha la yaqul one.
In Allah.
Sentence of inna.
Yeah, you can do that one. Yeah, I didn't spot that one. Yeah, so you can do inna Allah as well. So there you have inna, the ism of inna, which is in the state of nasab, and then the whole thing carry on down, and then la yaghfiru. So that's obviously a verbal sentence. So la yaghfiru, so does not forgive. Ain yushrik, those who commit, so partners with him. Yeah, and here this ain is when we say it's a muster, it converts it into a phrase, a fact. Because remember, a maf'ul bihi cannot be a sentence. So here you have ain yushraka bihi. So just give me a little bit elements. Don't think too big because obviously it's Quran and I don't want to do it into 100% because we're not at that stage. But just to pick out so you can see where this is actually coming for what you're doing on Qasas Anbiya, some examples of Inna Allaha. for example.
Is from Quran.
It is, yes, yes. But I'm giving you ayats as well. Yeah, you're absolutely right. A lot of the vocab and stuff is all coming from Quran anyway. These are stories of the prophets. You know.
What's the significance of khabar? Right?
Sorry?
So what's the most significant like khabar?
Yeah.
Is that means it's complete sentence?
Yeah. So a sentence of a jumla sentence can be either two. Either a noun sentence, which is a nominative, jumla ismiya, or a verbal sentence. For a noun sentence, it has to have a mubtada and a khabar. That completes the sentence. Right? And that's what we were saying. And then anything on that goes beyond another sentence. So it has a mubtada and khabar, completion of sentence.
No, what's the significance of khabar? What's the meaning?
Oh, khabar means to inform. So it informs of what is being introduced. Mubtada is what is introduced. The book
Right, okay. Khabar
is large, informs about the book. So khabar literally means informed or describes what is being introduced, the mubtada, or the beginning of the sentence. Yeah? Okay, subhanakallah walhamdulillah, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu. Okay?